glorious afternoon, Santa Clarita. How are you today? I hope you're feeling as good as we are. You're live with Dr. Judith Curts, that would be me, and Dr. Gregory Jenkins, my esteemed colleague. We are so excited to be with you today and have this new show, and we want to tell you about it, but one thing that's important, we want you to be able to call in with your questions. We're basically inviting you into our offices and letting you know what we're working with and how we can help you. And the number is 661-298-5487. Dr. Jenkins.
Yes, Judith, Dr. Kurtz, thank you very much for introducing me. Myself, I've been a longtime practitioner up in this area, and I'm looking forward to starting this radio medical doctor show with Dr. Kurtz. Dr. Kurtz moved here recently from Tampa, Florida, where she was on air quite often there, and this is all new to myself. So I'm looking forward to all your questions and any topics that you'd like to talk about. You can go to the website and leave suggestions, or you can just call and we can answer you right here. So let's see. Let's talk about some things.
All right.
Dr. Kurtz?
What's going on in your office lately?
Lately, it's illness, but
Right.
But you know, sometimes I get men come to the office and they have concerns about if they have impotence or they have erectile dysfunction, and what can cause that. And what men don't realize, it's sometimes not the low testosterone that causes it, but really it's something else in the body, because sometimes the penis is a gauge in how healthy you are. And many times if you have high cholesterol, that blocks your arteries. It blocks them in every part of the body, just not your heart, where you have heart attacks. So we try to do a workup on them that includes lifestyle changes, and we check their labs to make sure they're on the correct medicine or they're taking it correctly. And you know, many times the men say, you know, just by getting my cholesterol lower, you know, I'm much more active than I was before.
Let me ask you, I would like to know, because I see the patient after you do. When they're healthy, everything's going well, but there are also some other issues, psychological issues, guilt issues. Sometimes they're too tired. And everyone needs to know that this happens at some time to most men in their lifetime, so there's nothing to feel ashamed of or guilty. And between the two of us, we're going to figure out what's going on and get you back to having a wonderful sex life. But Dr. Jenkins, isn't there an over-the-counter drug that people buy, or are there over-the-counter drugs, not even prescription, that people buy that might cause impotence?
Well, over the counter, there is a slew of medicines that sometimes cause impotence, and people don't know about it too much because you know, they're only sick for 2 or 3 days, so they take the medicine for 2 or 3 days, so their sexual problems only last for 2 or 3 days, so they kind of forget about it. But there is a list of medicines that can be found on the internet that, you know, you can look up and you can see exactly which ones are. Most of them, to be truthfully, is their cough and cold medicines, sinus medicines, you know, allergy medicines and things like that, which cause problems.
Okay, that's good to know. And also, isn't there exercise or something that people are doing that can also inhibit erectile? Right.
Well, actually, you know, bicycling is a favorite thing. In fact, especially in this town, we're going to have a big race this weekend, or next weekend, I'm sorry. But actually, the bicycle seats actually cause prostate problems, and the prostate problems cause sexual problems. So if you are, you know, a semi-professional, a high level athlete, they get special seats, and they get more used to it. But the amateur ones like us, they get the seat that comes with the bike. It doesn't fit them right, and they'll come in the office and having sexual problems. And really, the problem is the exercise. But it's really not the exercise, but it's the exercise seat. So I would, you know, if you go and become a rider, you'd want to get a more padded, wide seat.
And what we want you to know is a lot of things that you may be suffering with, not talking about, feeling ashamed of, they're kind of normal. And there's a good explanation for all of that. And that's why we're here to help you. We're inviting you into our confidential offices and giving you the information that you'd like to have, whether it's you or your partner or whoever it is. I think that is so interesting because with sexual issues, people carry such shame, and there's really no reason to feel that way. When you come into my office, you'll find out that we can talk about it frankly and openly and even laugh and have some fun, and gosh, you're going to feel normal again. And I think many people come to me and they'll say, I think I'm the only one with this problem, or, oh, doctor, you've never heard this before. Well, guess what? I have. And it's perfectly all right. I'll be happy to answer your questions, help you. And what we want is for you to have a healthier, happier life. And we're here to talk about health. We're here to talk about relationships, intimacy, and sexuality. So come up with anything that's bothering you, and maybe you don't have the money to go to a doctor at this point, or the insurance, or you're afraid to. Well, this is free, so please do let us know what's going on with you. And I'll tell you, I was talking with just friends, acquaintances, and saying, you know, Dr. Jenkins and I are doing this show, and what's bothering you? Now, I've talked to women more than men, although my practice is primarily men. But I've talked to a bunch of women, and I said, what do you want me to talk about? And they overwhelmingly said intimacy. I said, we know about sex, but we want more intimacy in our life. And how do we get that? And that's the biggest complaint that I've heard. Are you hearing anything like that, or is that?
Well, to be honest, it's in my office, it's the men that come in that are having sexual problems. A few women come in, but mostly they're just not interested in sex any longer. And so we'll do a medical workup for that to see if the hormones are balanced, and see if we can help them with that. Sometimes, and to be honest, probably for men and women, many times it's more of a cerebral, mental issue that causes it. So. So I think sometimes it needs a full medical workup to find out exactly what's causing it, and eventually the patient may need to see a person like Dr. Kurtz. Many times that they need to have couples counseling, but somehow we can help them. And I'm hoping that all of you can call in or email us and give us some questions or things that you want to hear about. What do you think, Dr. Kurtz?
When we talk about women talking about, well, they're just not interested anymore, and I'll tell you why. Men and women sexually are very different. So when you talk about, well, if she could just get a pill like men can, it just doesn't work for women. It hasn't been proven. There is no female Viagra. Sexually, men can see something attractive and they can get excited. They can think of a thought and get excited. Women cannot. Women start with the head and the heart before you get to the genitals. It's the head and the heart first. I've got to tell you, men out there, please listen to me. They need to be cherished, treasured, appreciated, respected first. And the reason they're not interested in sex is because they're not getting that. They're not getting the head and the heart. And so they don't respond like men do. And that's what I'm hearing from women, and that's what they're complaining about. And they say, well, I'm just not interested anymore, and well, I used to do this and I just don't care anymore. Maybe it's menopause. I don't think it's menopause. There are issues with menopause that can be addressed. But I believe people can have a wonderful sex life until, and listen to this, folks, until the day you die, 5 minutes before maybe. But it will, all studies are showing that frequent sexual activity keeps you healthier, happier. It prevents, and tell me if I'm wrong, Dr. Greg, prevents heart attacks, lowers blood pressure.
That's true. She's right on that. Back to women liking men that adore them. Men choose spouses or partners for different reasons. Men and women choose it for different reasons. Men usually choose because of looks. And that's the truth.
True.
Women choose because of chance they're going to be provided for, or that you like each other, or you think they're smart, and they can laugh at some of your jokes. But so that makes it hard sometimes when men and women are so different on the way they choose partners.
I don't know how men and women get together. I really don't, because
Exactly, yeah.
they do have such different priorities, and they go in saying, oh yeah, we have the same priorities, but they really don't. And in my office, I get them talking to each other and really listening. And let me tell you, one of my main complaints with couples today, one of my main issues is the wonderful convenience of smartphones, texting, TV, and this is what you do when you come in at night. You get the kids to bed, and the couple will then start answering their emails, the computers. I love all those conveniences. They're absolutely wonderful. However, they are killing intimate relationships today. And I suggest to all of my couple patients that you shut all of that down for 30 minutes. And if the kids are older, just go outside or sit somewhere or put them to bed if they're young, and talk to each other for 30 minutes. Look at each other in the eyes. Talk to each other, not about scheduling, that's a no-no, but talk about, how are you doing? What are you needing? And gee, you look great today, and I'm so impressed with what you did. And just kind of feed each other. I think couples used to be able to do that, but they don't do it now, and everyone says we're too tired, we don't have time. And probably the worst time for sexual activity with couples is when you go to bed at night. Testosterone is the lowest, and it's the best in the morning, by the way. Testosterone is the highest. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, good. We're working together here. And I really believe that you have to plan for sex. You have people who come and say, well, I want to lose weight. Yeah, well, take that Twinkie out of your hand. They're not willing to do that. So if that can be a priority, to talk about sex with your partner, and to talk about it. Talk about what you like, what you're not getting, without the egos being involved and without anger. Just say, let me tell you about me. And all people are different. I did a study with women and what they like, and it's just all over the place, all over the board. Normal, happy people like different things. So just because one woman, like to have your tongue in their ear or something, the other one, it might just gross them out. So you really need to communicate about that. And how can you communicate when you're texting?
That's exactly right. And we've all probably been out to dinner with, 4 people, and you look at the table next to you, and everybody has their cell phone out. There's no conversation. And that's really what good relationships are about, a conversation. And I remember when I was at UCLA, they had this function they called Dinner for 12 Strangers. So you just sign up, and they send you an address, and you show up, and there's 12 people there that you've never met before, and you have dinner and have a conversation. So I see conversations disappearing, and conversations and relationships are so important.
Yeah, and the worst thing that somebody can hear is, honey, we need to talk. I mean, most people, especially men, will start running. No, we don't need to talk. I don't need to talk at all. I think a better way is to say, let's have a conversation about this or that. Let's have a conversation about us. Let's talk about, men really aren't that black and white. They like to be loved. They like to be cherished. And what I've learned from men over the 25 years in working with them, probably 2/3 of my practice has been with men. What I've learned is they love to please their partner. They love to please the woman or man that they're with. It's wonderful for their ego. It gives them pleasure. They really do like it. So take that into consideration. I want to know those 12 people. Can we still do that? That's just great.
We should set that up here right at the station. Yeah. 12 people having a conversation, and check those cell phones at the door. That should
be a rule at your house. It really should be. I know it's not that easy, but if your marriage or your relationship is a priority, that's one thing that you're going to have to do. Just because you want to lose weight, you got to sacrifice that Twinkie. So sacrifice the cell phone and the favorite TV show. I know it's good to relax, but this is so much better. Having a wonderful, healthy relationship, especially if you want it to last a lifetime, you're going to have to feed it. You have to feed it. I used to keep 2 plants in my office. One I didn't feed and one I did. And the one I fed was gorgeous. The one I didn't feed looked pretty bad. I said, that can be your marriage. That can be your relationship. You have to feed it.
That's true. With regards to foods, there's a lot of foods that are claimed to be aphrodisiacs, but really it's more the fact that you think it's going to help you, and you'll eat the oysters or whatever concoction it is, and you think it's going to help you, so it does, and you hope it helps you, and so you want to use them. But the truth is, it's not so much the medicines, it's not so much the aphrodisiacs, it's the relationship.
And I am so glad you said that, because the food's true. Oh, we're going to eat oysters, and puts in your mind this is going to happen to us. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. The reality, it doesn't help. I have had quite a few people say, well, a glass or 2 of wine, or if I have enough wine, I'll really feel sexy. That's a killer. Alcohol is a killer for a good sexual relationship. You might end up having sex, but it's not going to be the kind you want or what you're interested in. I'm certainly good with a glass of wine for people. More than that, if you're going to be intimate, it's going to kill it.
That's right. Alcohol is a real quote-unquote downer for sexual activity, because the sexual organs are basically semi-drunk and they're not going to work correctly. You can go through the motions, but it's not going to be like what you're used to doing. And the alcohol is really a real, like I said, a downer for sex. It's just really bad.
And men will realize it because they have trouble getting an erection, or it's just not what they want it to be. But women also experience that. Women cannot have the pleasure that they're used to having, or that they have had before, with alcohol. So it may relax you, it may make you feel like, oh, this will be fun, but you know what? Not a good idea. And I totally believe, if you don't have issues with it, having a nice glass of wine is good. Doctors are recommending it.
That's right. 2 glasses of wine a day makes you live longer.
Makes you see.
So I think that what you can do is maybe you can have the glasses of wines after you're finished. So you have
what a good idea! I love that.
You have to plan it around. Back it up.
So it's
flip
almost celebrating.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah,
celebrating the relationship. So take it from Dr. Jenkins and Dr. Kurtz. Here we are saying you can have your wine or cocktail as a celebration. After you've been together, after you've had that, and yeah, just get the kids in bed, and then that's your time. Then you can go back to your computer, whatever. But let's get Santa Clarita back to being happy and having good relationships with each other. And so if you have any questions or comments, anything you'd like us to discuss, you can use a fake name if you want. We won't find you. Call 661-298-5487, or even email us. We're happy to hear from you, and we're delighted to answer your questions. Let's have a conversation about healthy sexuality.